7:20, the Bills play the Saints. The Bills favored by 6 points on NBC, and oh my God, can you be more lucky if you're the Buffalo Bills? I looked at their thing. I think they have like a total of 5 or 6 players hurt, just total. Wow, how lucky they are. You want to go? Here's the ones that matter. Defensive tackle star Lotto Ledalai went on COVID-19, and Justin Zimmer tore his ACL, which means you have 3 defensive tackles: Ed Oliver, 2019 first-round pick at Houston; Vernon Butler, 2011 first-round pick at Louisiana Tech; and Harrison Phillips, 2018 third-round pick at Stanford. And then the only other injuries, you have left guard John Feliciano, calf injury until week 12, so he might return for this week. And if not, Ike Booker, feature player out of Iowa, is playing for him. And the other injury they have is like Marquez Stevenson. He was a wide receiver they got late in the draft out of Houston. He got hurt, went on IR early on in the season. But like at the best case scenario, he was going to be their number 5 receiver, number 6 receiver, not really that big of an impact. So I do not know how the Bills are only at like, what are they? They're 6-4 right now, right? How are you only at 6-4, Buffalo Bills? Like, oh my God, guys, you have so little injuries. So little injuries, but now it's time to talk about my New Orleans Saints and how many injuries we have. So let's get into it. Everyone knows about poor Jameis Winston going down with an ACL tear, going on IR. He's out for the season. So obviously they've been starting Trevor Siemian the past couple times. 2015, 7th-round pick on Northwestern. Backing him up is Taysom Hill, 6-year player out of BYU, although I don't know how that's going to work this week. I think it might be time for some Taysom time, considering we're on a 3-game losing streak. Running back Alvin Kamara had a knee injury, did not practice. He's out for this game. And Mark Ingram has a knee MCL injury. He did not practice, but he is questionable. I think he had a limited practice in the most recent update. He's questionable for this game. If not, you're going to have Tony Jones Jr., who has been pretty good this year early on in the season. He's going to have to take on the full brunt of the carries, though, which is not ideal, to say the very least. Second-year player out of Notre Dame, and then you have Dwayne Washington, who's going to be your number 2 back, 2016 7th-round pick out of Washington. Although I don't know if that's true or not, because you get Ty Montgomery back for this game if you're the Saints, and Ty Montgomery is kind of a useful player in a lot of aspects. He can play running back, he can play wide receiver. So I don't know. I feel like you'll get creative in the run game for the Saints if you can't have Kamara or Ingram. You use Tony Jones Jr. a good amount, but you could put Ty Montgomery back there as a running back. He's played the position before, especially with all the injuries you have at running back. And then you could also use Taysom Hill in a running back-like role. Obviously, don't line him up directly behind Siemian, and just hand it off to him, but you put him back in the quarterback position, and then you can run draws and stuff like that. It works well. The injury that really hurt me to my very soul was tight end Adam Troutman. He had his first good game against the Eagles. I understand it was not a good game in general against the Eagles, and there's very few bright sides about that game, but one of them was the play of Adam Troutman. He was a phenomenal player in that game, one of the few targets you could rely on if you were Trevor Siemian, and he goes down with an MCL injury. He's out till at least week 15, which means that could have likely been the end of his season. And that really hurts because it's not like the Saints' tight end position was deep to begin with. So their number 1 tight end now is Nick Minnett, 2016 third-round pick out of Ohio State. Minnett is more of a blocking tight end, so we'll see how he's used. Same with Garrett Griffin. He was 4th-year player at Air Force, really mostly a blocking tight end. Juwan Johnson has been our really only elite tight end receiving-wise. Now, Adam Troutman obviously has stepped up in the most recent game, but losing him really hurts, which means Juwan Johnson's really your only legitimate passing threat at tight end. But if you put him in the game, it kind of shows you're just going to pass it because he's not an elite blocker, which is just puts you in an awkward situation. Ryan Ramczyk has been ruled out, knee injury, did not practice, he's out for this game. Real question is Teron Armstead, he had a knee injury, limited practice, he's questionable for this game, you need him back for this game. That way you can start James Hurst at right tackle and you can start Calvin Throckmorton at left guard. And I know it's not ideal, but you're about 1 player off from having about what you're going to have for the rest of the season on your offensive line. If not, you have an offensive tackle that's James Hurst that's playing out of position. He's supposed to play left guard for the rest of the season. You have over here Jordan Mills, 2013 5th-round pick out of Louisiana Tech. A guy who hasn't seen the field this year. At least I don't think he has. And you're starting Calvin Throckmorton and left guard. Three of those players are out of position. The only player that is going to start in that position for the rest of the year is center Eric McCoy and right guard Cesar Ruiz. Calvin Throckmorton, if you don't know, second-year player out of Oregon, and James Hurst, ninth-year player out of UNC. Defensive tackle, you don't have too many injuries, but you do have one significant one in Malcolm Roach. Knee injury, went on IR until week 14, which means David Onyemata, 2016 fourth-round pick out of Manitoba, and he was starting anyways, but Shai Tuttle's got to step up in the new starting role, fourth-year player out of Tennessee. And then backing them up, but it's mostly rotation, is Christian Ringo, 2015 sixth-round pick out of UL Lafayette, and Josiah Bronson, undrafted rookie out of Washington. Defensive end, we have some serious injuries. We will not have Marcus Davenport, who has a shoulder injury, did not practice out for this game. Antonio Capasino, who had an ankle injury, did not practice for this game. He's out. And Peyton Turner's on IR until at least week 13, which means you have only 3 pass rushers if you're the Saints. Obviously, you have future Hall of Famer Cam Jordan, but he's not been having the best season. 2011 first-round pick out of Cap. Carl Granderson has not also been having a great season coming off the bench. Fourth-year player out of Wyoming, although you need him desperately to step up. And Jalen Holmes, 2018 fourth-round pick out of Ohio State, who has not even seen the field all that much, if we're going to be honest. So that is obviously a decimation, is not being able to have Davenport or Capasino this week. And then obviously the one that's been stuck a little while but still kind of hurts is No Chauncey. He can't come back until next week, so obviously can't wait till next week. Foot injuries on IR at least that week, which he's normally a nickelback. We've transferred more to 3 linebacker sets with playing a lot more Caden Ellis. Luckily no injuries to the linebacker core, thank God. But if you do play nickel, you're likely going to be playing J.T. Gray, 5th-year player out of Mississippi State, Jeff Heath, 10th-year player out of Saginaw Valley, and P.J. Williams, 2015 third-round pick out of FSU. So who do I think is going to win this game? I'm actually going to this football game, so I just got to pick the Saints. I got to pick my Saints, even despite all the injuries. The Bills are in a kind of a slump, and I think our defense is going to get back to that eliteness it had last week. Now, I understand the injuries to Marcus Davenport and Tito Capasino means that we're not going to be able to really rush the passer, which is going to kind of kill us against Josh Allen. And it's really going to hurt, but I do think Trevor Siemian gets back on track this week, and I think our run game gets going despite definitely not having Kamara and maybe not having Ingram. I think despite all that, Tony Jones Jr. goes off this game, and I think Taysom Hill also really helps in the rushing game and the receiving game for that matter. I think Deontay Harris, Marquez Callaway, and Traquan Smith all have some really great games against the Bills secondary. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to happen. I think Juwan Johnson gets a touchdown. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, considering we're not going to be able to get much pressure on Josh Allen. So I'd take the over, but I do think the Saints pull off the upset here and keep their season alive. It's a much-needed win for New Orleans, and I think they get it.